Hi, this is Teddy, and today you're listening to Mike Espy in Mississippi on Two Broads Talking Politics, part of the Demcast Podcast Network.
Are you listening?
Hey everyone, this is Kelly with Two Broads Talking Politics, and we are super excited today to be on with Mike Espy. Mike was the Secretary of Agriculture. He's been a congressman in Mississippi and is now running for U.S. Senate. So hi, Mike.
Hello, Kelly, and hi, Sophie, and I'm glad to be on with these two broads.
Yes, indeed. So I wanted to jump in. We're talking to you the day after your biggest fundraising day ever, so this is super exciting. But I think a lot of people who are outside of Mississippi probably think of Mississippi as this deep red state, still somewhat segregated. And, you know, you've seen some great changes in Mississippi in your time there. One of the first people to integrate your high school. You were the first Black congressman from Mississippi since Reconstruction. And Mississippi just now in 2020 finally changing its flag to no longer have the Confederate symbol. So I wondered if you could just talk to us some about the changes in Mississippi and what Mississippi looks like now, what you're seeing there.
All right. Well, let me describe all of it based on something that happened last week. So we're in the midst of tornadoes in Mississippi, storms and all of that, like everywhere else. But we get all these storms coming up from the Gulf Coast. So I was shaving last week, and Hurricane Sally was coming, and I was listening in one ear to the news, to the weather forecast, and there was a national weather forecaster. And this person said Hurricane Sally is coming, and it's going to hit a landmass between Mobile and New Orleans. And I started laughing. I said, well, that's Mississippi, that's Mississippi. So I understand your question. A lot of people remember us as deep red and, quasi-racist or full-on racist. But a lot of people have their own opinions. But Mississippi's changed a lot. You're right about me growing up in this state. I was born and raised in the state. I grew up in Jim Crow. I remember it. My mama, going into the clothing store and not being able to try on a dress unless she was prepared to buy it. Her name was Willie Jean Espy, and I remember them saying, Willie Jean, you best not try on that dress unless you can buy it, because no self-respecting white woman's gonna buy this dress after you've tried it on. So I have hundreds of anecdotes and stories about Jim Crow Mississippi in the late 50s and 60s and 70s. I did integrate along with my twin sister a public high school that was formerly all white. And this was about 1968, 69, and there were 17 blacks among 800 whites. And it was just awful. Every day I'm the N-word. I've got to fight or flee from a fight. Teacher sprayed me one day with a fire extinguisher in class, a teacher. So it just was so bad, honestly. I said, once I graduate from this place, I'm never coming back to Mississippi. But I did. I went to Howard University in Washington, went to California for law school, but I did return. And then I became a legal services lawyer, then first Black assistant Secretary of State, first Black assistant Attorney General, first Black in Congress in Civil War in a district that was not majority Black. Then in 1986, served the nation as Secretary of Agriculture. And then ran for Senate 18 months ago and got 47% of the vote. So, and now running again, and we're one point down. So why are we doing this? Well, basically, and I'm gonna ask you a question. Mississippi is really, I think, at a pivotal moment, honestly, and this is not a dramatic statement. We are literally at the crossroads between moving forward as a full partner with all the other states toward the third decade of the 21st century. Are we going back? And I say that because we had a legislative action a month ago where the Mississippi legislature took down the Mississippi flag with the Confederate emblem. Now, I'm 66 years old. I was honestly surprised that it happened at all and happened with that much haste. It's not, they voted a referendum in November, so they just did it. And they did it because enough of their constituents are tired of that image, of that hateful symbol, and they want to get rid of it, close the book, go to a new chapter, turn the page. And I believe that I'm a representative of that future. Or we can go to the past. I think represented by my opponent, Sidney Hyde-Smith, who made statements about voter suppression at the other universities. And I keep asking her, which universities are those? You know, these are the HBCUs that she won't name. And then everyone knows the statement about public hangings. But a lot of people don't remember her going to the Jefferson Davis Memorial 2014, trying on the rebel hat, the rebel waistcoat, and the Confederate era. She held the Confederate era rifle. And that's all fine if you want to do it. Go to the museum. That's what the flag is now. Fine, no problem. But on the way out, she said to them, "This is the best of Mississippi's history." All right, that's 2014, not 1814, not 1914. So that's the choice we have. Whether you want to be someone that's going to drag us back to days of yore, or somebody that wants to push us into the future with Medicaid expansion, $15 minimum wage, paying teachers a decent salary, you know, so all of that. So these are the stark choices, and that's why I'm running. That's why I'm running now. Insofar as it being a red state, I would just say to you, the only way I can answer that is to repeat something that Reverend Barber said. Reverend Barber is a friend of mine from North Carolina, but most people know him as the president of the Poor People's Campaign. He's very familiar with these southern states and the stagnant politics in these states. And he said to me, "Mike, Mississippi is not so much red as it is unorganized," right? So what he's saying is that the National Democratic parties and a lot of people like the ones you mentioned haven't invested in political infrastructure in Mississippi. And so therefore, for decades and decades, we've not had the revenue to get the data, to do the targeting, to fund the candidates, to build the bench, and to do things necessary to move us into what we're doing now. So the Mike Espy campaign can be said to be really the de facto state Democratic Party, because it was incumbent upon us in 2018 to do all of that. You know, I only had 7 months to run from April to November, 18 months ago, and I hadn't run in 25 years for anything. So we had to announce the candidacy, get the message together, assemble staff, raise the money, and get out there and do it. And we got 47% of the vote. And so what we did was to build the greatest database in Mississippi's history to date. And we shared it with the Democratic Party to run and elect a bunch of progressive candidates in 2019. There's 4 Black women who elected as judges, because in Hinds County, where I get 40% of my vote, 4 Black women won judicial races. And so they're in the bench now. And that's because we had a 77% turnout of Black voters for Mike Espy. So 99% of them voted for me in a 77% turnout. And so the down ballot impact was huge. So Reverend Bob is right. So if we had had earlier investments of interested people into this race and other races prior to mine, it would have been easy for me to run. But that's okay. You know, I'm running to serve, not just to be something, but to do something. And it's working. So now we are 1 point down. We raised $1.8 million since last Friday, because most people understand now, because of Judge Ginsburg's death, the risk to healthcare in America, and the great act of devastation to pre-existing illnesses, the coverage for those, and Medicaid expansion that's going to happen in November with a new conservative justice on the bench for life. So that's why we're getting a lot of notice. We're grateful for it, and we're doing well.
I want to talk about Medicaid expansion a little bit. I know Mississippi is one of the, I think, 12 states that have not expanded Medicaid, and I feel your pain because I live in Wisconsin, which is also one of the 12. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about Medicaid expansion and sort of what that would mean for patients and for healthcare organizations in Mississippi.
Look, I could expound on this for 2 hours. Because it is the number one issue in our campaign, because it is the number one problem in Mississippi. By any measure, by any healthcare measure, we're last. There was a newspaper article last week that said Mississippi was number 51 in the nation. I say there's only 50 states. Well, they included the District of Columbia, and we're worse than they are. When it comes to just bad healthcare outcomes, hypertension, heart disease, cancer, asthma, and so forth and so on. So there's any number of ways that can be mitigated, but I think the number one way in the public space is to expand Medicaid, because we don't have Medicaid. A lot of low-income people, and 20% of Mississippians are below the poverty level, 20%, and many of those are African-American persons. So when they have their health ailments, they don't go to the doctor. They don't involve themselves with primary health care because they know they can't pay the bill. So they should remain ill, and the illnesses just get worse. Or if they do go to the doctor, it's usually the emergency room. And when they get a bill, they don't pay it. And when those bills aggregate and increase, the rural hospital is behind the 8 ball, because now they've given services for uncompensated care. And so they close. So consequently in Mississippi, we've had 7 or 8 hospitals to close in the last 10 years. So all these rural communities are now without a core medical service provider. So if we had Medicaid expansion tomorrow, we would automatically cover over 250,000 Mississippians, automatically, who would have the comfort and security of knowing they've got medical care, 90% of which will be paid by the federal government. So I tell everybody, John Stennis was the senator for the modern Navy, and Senator Eastland was the senator for judiciary, and Dad Cochran was the senator for rural development and agriculture. I'm going to be the senator for health care. So I'm going to do all I can do to expand Medicaid, to give people the confirmation that their illnesses can be covered more expeditiously, and those hospitals can be covered with uncompensated care, and all of that. So that's what I'm going to do. And that's why this campaign now is receiving such great notice, because people know I'm serious about it. I know that it is I know you're in Wisconsin and you're not covered, but a lot of people consider this to be a blue state phenomenon, where, California and Arizona, California, New York have it. And so the local legislators here think that this is an Obama thing that's relegated only to blue states. But it's not true, because Missouri and Oklahoma recently, through referendum, now have Medicaid expansion. So I tell my folks here in Mississippi, why do we continually cut our noses off to spite our faces? Because we're paying taxes for all these blue states, and now conservative southern states, we're paying taxes for their people to have medical insurance. Why don't we spend our tax dollars to benefit us? So that's my pitch. I've got personal stories and anecdotes that I could share with you if you want to hear them. But the main thing is that it's the number one issue in Mississippi. I'm going to do this, and that's why I'm running.
I know there was a lot of talk in 2016 and after 2016 about how rural America felt really left behind, and that was part of what drove the vote for Trump. I think rural America has been even more left behind under Trump. The effects of climate change and tariff wars on agriculture have just been terrible. Yeah. You were the Secretary of Agriculture. This is obviously a huge issue in Mississippi. What are some of the things that you would like to see, the Senate doing to really improve the ability for farmers to make a decent living, for our agricultural sector to really thrive? Okay,
so this is my sweet spot. You just hit it. Thanks for the question. I was fortunate enough to be selected by President Clinton as his 25th Secretary of Agriculture, 25th Secretary for the nation. I served there. I really enjoyed it. But the nickname for the Secretary of Agriculture is the Mayor of Rural America. So I was the Mayor of Rural America for a period of time. And first thing we did is I said, well, why is rural America being so ignored? And I tried to elevate the rural development function of agriculture to be as prominent as the production function, where we give production loans and crop insurance to farmers. I tried to elevate the rural development function, which would be rural water, rural sewer, rural telecommunications, rural housing, building the infrastructure of rural America, which was so sorely needed. And then when we did all these studies and spent all the money to do that, I discovered that there were thousands and thousands of homes in America in 1993 still without running water. Now that surprised me. I'm from Mississippi and I shouldn't be surprised, but honestly, it's prolific all around America. So I said, I'm gonna do a throwback to President Kennedy when he challenged the nation to be the first. America would be the first to land a man on the moon and beat the USSR, Soviet Union. And we did it. So I said in true Kennedy fashion, we're going to have, in this agency, by the turn of the century, we're going to have every home in America connected to its own rural water. And we did it. So even though I was only there 2 years, we met that goal. And so I believe that every home in America now has running water because of USDA initiatives. And we did that. So I'm proud of that. Water, sewer, water, homes, and all of that. So now when you ask about tariffs, a lot of the farm situation, a lot of the bankruptcies we've seen and the dismay and consternation in the farm sector is because of losing markets. We're losing markets because of tariffs that this administration has imposed on countries like People's Republic of China. Now let's go here for a minute. He did this, he being President Trump did this to benefit him politically. He imposed a tariff on steel and aluminum because he knew he's running in 2020 and he wanted to help himself politically in the states of Pennsylvania and Ohio and Michigan. The auto producers, the steel manufacturers, and so forth. So he did that. And I wrote an article called Be Careful What You Ask For, because I knew that when he did that, China was going to impose a retaliatory tariff, and not on steel and aluminum, but it's going to be on things that hurt us here in Mississippi, like soybeans. So China was our number one soybean market by far. And so when we imposed that tariff on China, they turned around and slapped a tariff on soybeans, which made our soybeans more expensive. We lost that market by large. And Brazil, one of our soybean competitors, went in and filled that void, and we lost that market. And so because we lost the market, there was reduction in markets, reduction in prices, and our farmers' beans were lying in the field, catching disease and becoming more surplus and nowhere to sell them. So that's what he did. And so then he had to cover his problem by giving cash subsidies to farmers to give them money for the money they lost from their own productive efforts. And that money increased the federal deficit. It came from the Commodity Credit Corporation. And that's going on the bill, the $1 trillion debt bill. And it didn't have to, because the farmers just wanted a market to sell in. So I believe in fair trade. I believe in the farmers having increase in their markets. If we have fair trade and increase in global markets, they're going to define because we're productive. We've got better technology than anyone in the world. And our farmers just want to grow and harvest and sell. 2/3 of what they grow has to be sold on international markets, because 1/3 of it is consumed domestically. So I mean, I'll be the senator. You asked me what I would do. So I would certainly be a person who would try to do all I can do to stop all these erratic tariff activity. I'll be the senator to help open markets, to beat our competitors. And I'll be certainly a senator to help rural America. So here's what I'm doing just very quickly. As a private citizen, which I want to bring into the federal, bunch of federal programs. So as a private citizen, as a volunteer, an unpaid person for the last 25 years, I've been on a board that I'm the chairman of. It's a nonprofit which involves itself in lifting up the bottom 1/3 of low-income states in the Mid-South, Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Louisiana. So we go to the poorest areas of those 5 states, and we're a $400 million nonprofit. So we give mortgages to first-time homeowners in those areas of about $150,000. In New York, that's a closet, but in Mississippi, it's a nice 3,000 square foot house, maybe. We fund business loans. In medically unserved areas, we'll come in and build clinics. In food deserts, we'll build grocery stores. And now we work also through credit unions, and we put them in public schools so the students can actually take deposits from their teachers. So I want to, through new markets tax credits and empowerment zones and all that, the work we're doing through my nonprofit, I want to make it part of the Treasury Department programs to offer. So we have new markets tax credits for the nation. What I want to do is offer maybe like another dividend. If you will take your tax credit and go to there's a term called perennially poor, the districts that have been impoverished for 3 decades in a row. Persistent poverty is called. So here's that our persistent poverty districts. You can invest and you get the normal tax credit plus extra if you go to these poor census districts. I want to do that as a senator.
I think everybody listening is probably pretty fired up to help out with your campaign. Can you tell us a little bit about how people can help out with your campaign, donate, or volunteer if they live in Mississippi?
Thank you. I will do that. I did leave out something though. So the 2 things I'm going to do is Medicaid expansion, but broadband, I can't leave that because that's so easy to do. Just like we brought water to rural America, in 1993 and 1994 before I left, we can, in a nanosecond, we can bring broadband connectivity to every rural house in America. It's especially bad now during this pandemic because a lot of students are working remotely from home, and it's fine if you got a laptop, and a mouse, and you can, you can connect, but so many homes can't. So they've got to go to the library if it's open, or the community college if they can get to it to get out their lesson, and it's just awful. I mean, a lot of schools here in Mississippi have to put Wi-Fi in a bus, and then bring the bus to like a remote area centrally located. And then that bus has to keep moving so the kids can get their homework and get the teacher. And it's crazy because it's so easy with several $1 billion to do this, which we have. So I want to connect students, and I know what I'm speaking about because I'm involved in a program called the Global Teaching Project, where students in Mississippi from rural schools who are AP students in STEM courses don't have internet to be connected to their STEM course teachers at Harvard, Yale, Princeton, MIT, and Stanford. So they have to go twice a month to wherever they can get internet and receive STEM course instructions from teachers at these Ivy League universities. And then twice a year on Martin Luther King's birthday and during the summer, they all congregate physically. The teachers come to Mississippi and the students come from the rural areas, and I meet them all at the universities, and I give them a pep talk and hand out diplomas. And they have no internet mostly. So I feel so badly for them. These are high-performing students who just want to do well. They're working hard. They want to get somewhere with their life, and they don't have internet because people of my generation didn't provide it for them. So this is easy. So I want to hook them all up, and we're going to do that. So now, what people can do to help us is go, first of all, to espyforsenate.com. And that's easy to remember because that's Espy Awards. Espy Awards, the SPY. And I gave the first Espy Award when I was Secretary of Agriculture. I actually gave an award, the first one. And I love that. So so the ESPN thing is espyforsenate.com. And there's a donate button there. And, it's really expensive to run these campaigns. So whatever you can give would be great. We got $1.8 million in since Friday, and the average contribution was $32. So whatever you can give is great. Like you, Sophie, but people have been writing postcards. So you can write a postcard from Wisconsin or anywhere. You can text. We have a prodigious texting operation from all over the world, and a phone banking operation. Not the world, excuse me, all over the country. I was thinking about global and world class people like Ava DuVernay. She's my new bud. So she signed up for call time, from Los Angeles. She's calling in Mississippi. Ava DuVernay, And so I texted with her last night and told her thank you. So you can interact with us any number of ways: text, calling, old school, new school ways. We just have to win. But it does take money.
Yeah. Well, we are so excited about this campaign. I think it snuck up on a lot of people who hadn't watched in 2018, but
Yes.
those of us who were watching in 2018, this is not a surprise that you're going to cross the finish line this time. So we're very excited.
I think we had to run then to win now.
Yeah.
We built that bridge so that we can cross, but also others behind me can cross. I think we built the infrastructure data-wise, and we know where we have to get to, and looks like we're getting there. As I said, we were 9 in February, 5 in August, and 1 3 days ago, and we got a polling field now. Now that we've been on television 3 weeks. So I'm running against somebody who's uniquely awful. Honestly, she's taking us back. Nobody wants to go back. That's why they voted that flag. And they took a poll on Medicaid expansion, and that's now 6% or more with those who voted in that poll. So we know where we have to get to, and they want someone to help us get there. And I think that's me.
Well, thank you. And we will put information up on our website so people can find your website and can sign up to volunteer and donate. So, Mike, thank you so much for speaking with us today. This was really great to talk to you. Like I said, we're super excited about your race and just can't wait to see it happen on election night.
Well, we got 39 to 40 more days. We're working hard. Let's do it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Two Broads Talking Politics, part of the Dimcast Podcast Network. Our theme song is called Are You Listening? Off of the album Elephant Shaped Trees by the band Immunuri, and we're using it with permission of the band. Our logo and other original artwork is by Matthew Weflin and was created for use by this podcast. You can contact us at twobroadstalkingpolitics@gmail.com or on Twitter or Facebook at Two Broads Talk. You can find all of our episodes at twobroadstalkingpolitics.com or anywhere podcasts are found.